Now, I said I have two of these. I bought these like a year ago, just trying to predict ahead what will I need. And the ones that go on the head are opposite each other. The ones that go to the carburetor are slightly higher up. See that? Slightly higher up. So that goes like that. So head, carburetor. I have two carburetors. One is 28mm, and I bought this one first. I could have got this one in any size, relatively. It looked good, looked everything I wanted to do, but it's a 28mm, and I'll talk about carburetors in detail later, but 28mm, that's a big carby, and so I thought I better get another one, so I've got a 26mm one. See the thickness in there is different to each other? 26 and 28. Now, the advantage of a 26mm is this will run better down low, this will run better up top. You're spending most of your time down low, this will make more power, this will make it just, I don't know what I want. So I've got two. So I've now got to think, okay, the biggest one is 28mm. This is one of these. What does that read? 25 and a bit. This reads 25 and a bit. This one here, what's that one read? 27mm. 27mm. That's close. It's definitely bigger than the 26, not as big as the 28. Down here, 25.5mm. So because the verniers have said what these sizes are, this one is out, right? It's gone. Now, notice the fine Chinese craftsmanship that, see the distance between there and the distance between there. That's a lot further apart from those bolt holes than what that side is. This I know lines up perfectly and is exactly the right size inside. Thank God for that. So I have one thing that I know, and now I'm coming into variables. And so I've just screwed this in. And I don't know if you can see that or not, let's have a look. These holes, see that they don't line up. They're supposed to line up perfectly opposite each other. But see that? Doesn't line up. So I can move that around and it lines up in a different spot wherever I put it. So once I've figured out where that's got to be, I can then, if I've got very little choice, I'll put it there and that will be my new spot. But I'll give you the general idea what my problem is. That. It lines up in one spot, and I've checked all these different spots and they're pretty well much the same. It lines up in one spot and not in the other. That. It's because that is the furthest one apart. Oops, no, that is the furthest one apart, and it pulls it over to the side. I've bolted on this for the carburetor adapter, and that's out. Now, that's not so much out. I'll mark that out with the texture, and then I'll just clean that up, and that'll make it good for 26mm. So I'll show you the other one. It's basically the same, so that's all good. So now the carburetor fits into this bit. And see, there's the ring. Most carburetors have a ring around there. There's the ring. But see the gap between there and the ring? That is not as long as that. So I'll just put this together and I'll show you. And then see that gap there? So whatever fuel I've got coming in, it'll come in and it'll just be turbulence all over the place because of that gap. It doesn't reach all the way. So the only way I can get around that is I have to cut this short and get rid of that ring and then just rely on clamping force. And that's okay, it'll do it. That's a tight fit and that'll fix that. So that is the smaller carburetor. You can see how that doesn't fit so perfectly, but that's because that's a 26mm. This would be just fine for 28. So I need to cut this short and machine that other thing out. Right, so that's all the bolts taken out, and you can see there where it's marked. Now, so I just get an old Dremel that around there. There's no, it's right size right there, then slowly runs out because of the gaps between there. Like, this is slow work, but I just want to show you something. See how this side I don't have to touch with that marking, but that goes straight. See that's a line that goes straight down. But I go over this side, and when I go there, there's a hump. There's a hump just in there, so I've got to bring this out and take that hump out. See that hump? This side there isn't one. Just a little half-time check-up to see how I'm going, and it's pretty smooth around here. There's a little lump there I need to get out. I've marked it, and just around this area here. So I'm getting close, and when I've oothed it out, I'll then sand it, and that'll make the finish I'm after. It's getting close. That's pretty well got it. I just need to give that a bit of a sand now, but I'll give it a sand with this big sanding wheel. It just fits in there. You can feel the heat coming through that straight away. That's one side done. Like it's good enough. I'm not worried about scratches that way. Scratches across to flow make tiny little turbulence, and it flows better than being dead smooth. Dead smooth is sticky. Where that one's doing it up, it's sort of pulling itself to the side, and what the problem is, the angle of this is sort of falling this way. See that air gap there? It's tight on this side and loose on that side. So when I'm doing up, it's sort of pulling this off to the side, so it's not doing up in the same spot every time. So what I've got to do is file this down a bit further on this side and angle it up this way so that it sits flat. I just do this a couple of times, mark it all out so I don't end up filing the same spots all the time. And just whoops, and just try to avoid the outside edge there, and I'm just trying to, with a little bit of filing, you can now see that the gap is even both sides. As for this side, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. If you have a look at it, you can see it dips just on the outside edge there. See it goes in a bit, just so it goes in. If I just take that out, make it smooth, that'll work. There's a bit of a lump around there, if you look like that, see that? Take that lump out, bit of a lump over there, I'll take that lump out, another one there, just take that edge around there, and I think that should pretty well do that. That side as good as it is. Hello! That's the final product. It's worked out nice. All those lumps on the sides are gone, lump on the bottom is gone, see that in there? Smooth, ridge, this side is all good. Only thing I have to do now, that doesn't line up. So that one lines up, but this one doesn't line up, so I've got to file that down to make that fit. That's done. It lines up a little bit lower than the other one, but it lines up. Now the next thing is that, whoops, let's get that lip there. To that is that 19mm, just lock that off. And I go to the lowest part, which is there, and I'll measure the difference between those two, which looks to be about 5mm. That means I have to cut that difference off that. Another thing I'm doing, you know how I marked the bottom of this, I just got the carburetor and the vise, you know how I marked the bottom before, that's 14mm. So if I see that ridge there, and that's 14mm, that's 2mm shy. That'll be right if I go there, so I have to, so it's even the bottom and the top, I'm trimming off the top here, that's just a guide, and then then I just sort of file this way, then I'll file it down that way. And then I'll get that to be 14mm like on the bottom, so they're the two stops. Look, that's got the carby filed back, and that was, it wasn't 14, it was 15 mil, so that's 15 mil all the way through now. There, all the way through here, that little lump there from the choke, and the bottom, and the bottom. And that's good, but I put texture over that, and see the casting mark? That I've filed that quite a lot with the small, smooth, flat file, to trying to get that out and keep it smooth. And that sort of thing, it was much bigger than that. That would track air. And there's something funny going on down there, because I've textured it all, and the high ports are getting filed off and the low points aren't. There's a line along here. That would track air. There was another coming in. That would track air. You can't feel it with the fingers, but it's definitely there. So I do a little bit more filing. But that's pretty well 15 mil all the way around now. I don't have a very good track record of doing this sort of trimming, but you know, that masking tape, it's too big. So I trimmed it off with a hobby knife, the excess. Then went round it with verniers and a pen, like that's 4 mil. And put that on there, so that pen, anything beyond that pen mark will be 5 mil. It's okay to be a little bit short, because then the carby will hit against that ridge there. Let's have a look. Rough as guts as usual. I'll have one little trick to fix that. Brilliant shit. Flat and close enough. I'll just check it against the carby and see how it is. Yep, that's sealing against there all the way around. Roughly the same size, close enough, and it's just off touching all the way, yeah, that's good enough. Next up is the nipple for the vacuum and boost gauge. It's a vacuum and boost, so whilst it's an ordinary carburetor, I'll be able to see the difference how much vacuum the 26 mil makes and 28 mil. Just give me general information for when I go to boost. A bit like a tacho helps. Right, so the nipple, I need a nipple for it. Like that height there makes it about here, which is enough. So I've got to just put some JB weld in here, make a flat patch with JB weld, and then just tap it, and that'll do the job. Seen me do this before. For those of you who been watching this channel, I've scrubbed this with a scrubbing brush, then to leach out the pores, then with parts cleaner, and now just push it into whatever you're making. Just try and get it into those pores. And let's have a look close up. As usual, all the parts get scrubbed thoroughly when I'm finished, because if I don't leach all the aluminium out of the pores, the petrol going through here will do the job for me, and that means it goes straight in the motor. So any metal just gets, you know, blasted through the motor, so everything gets scrubbed thoroughly. Well, that's the final product made. That's been gasket material around there. And this one here is how it'll be. I cut a gasket, fits beautiful. And I put Loctite that nipple in there and put this on there, and I'm treating it like a fuel line because I've had one of these fall off on a motor once before and I seized the motor, so a bit wary about this stuff. It gets a bit soft when it's hot, and that's just something to hold it in place. So I'll put that on and we'll be good to go. That's it, all buttoned down. Strange to think that for me was 2 weeks work in my leisurely pace, but you'd think they make it standard fitting, wouldn't you?